Hey, what up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Golf Parfection podcast. In this one, I want to talk about the Crypto.com Showdown, which was an exhibition match between Live Golf and PGA Golf. We had Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka facing off against Rory McIlroy and Scottie Scheffler. They were playing for a purse of $10 million in cryptocurrency, and in this case, it was Chronos. I won't jump into that until the end. Some real quick details about the exhibition itself. It was 18-hole exhibition. First 6 holes was best ball, followed by 6 holes of alternate shot, and then singles matches for the last 6 holes. And whoever had the most points by the end of it was decided the victor. So let's jump into the winners of this whole thing. And I think firstly, what comes to mind is actually Reebok. So if you didn't know, Bryson DeChambeau just inked a deal with his Crushers Live team and himself to launch a golf clothing apparel deal that includes shoes and then shirts. So that was on full display. But I think this was obviously strategic here. He was wearing a very puffy Reebok jacket. You know, the commentators, then also the rounds on social media were making a big deal out of it. Kind of like the Jason Day and his fashion forward clothing with Malbon. That makes a lot of news for maybe the right or wrong reasons. The memeability of this puffer jacket with Bryson wearing it was definitely a win for Reebok in my mind. The only thing that was interesting towards the end of the round, he wasn't wearing it anymore because at the end of it, they got caught up in some sort of propane heater accident, so he wasn't wearing it anymore. So that was kind of funny, but memes all around, free advertising all around for Reebok, so they're a definite winner in this whole thing. Another winner of this was obviously the winners. Spoiler alert, the winners were Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. And watching the whole thing, they kind of they ran away with it. You know, they played so much better. They hit a lot more critical shots, but it always felt like they were in control. So pretty much the PGA Tour guys, they were in the driver's seat the entire time. They dominated. They looked like they were having a good time. And just because of how the Ryder Cup works, we have never seen the pairing of Rory and Scottie together. It's kind of crazy to see how much chemistry they had between the two of them as opposed to Brooks and Bryson. But yeah, they were obviously the winners of all this. You know, an overall net win for them in terms of this event for sure. And of course, they won the $10 million purse of cryptocurrency. So another winner in all of this, in my mind, are PGA Tour fans who are anti-live, because it just gave them the ammo that, you know, they needed to fight in the comments on Instagram saying that, you know, PGA Tour players are better than live players. Now, this is obviously a small sample size, but just the total butt kicking that the PGA Tour guys dealt to the live guys. I mean, the fans of the PGA Tour are going to have a field day, you know, because when the rumor dropped when there was going to be a potential live versus PGA Tour Ryder Cup style event maybe later next year when the merger happens and the PGA Tour and Live Tour played nice together, everyone just started debating and discussing who would be better. A lot of people know that feeling, and it is nice to rub it in the face of your rivals every once in a while. And lastly, I think another winner was Charles Barkley. So this was put on by TNT, and so obviously a part of that, Charles Barkley got involved with the announcer crew, and he was just a breath of fresh air. I mean, he is at the point where he gets paid a lot for what he does. He even made a joke about it. It's like, oh, I wouldn't mind getting fired or something like that. He's very candid in what he said, and at the end he kept talking about how, you know, PGA Tour and Live need to get stuff done, and he keeps it real in terms of what he has to say. He's never minced words, and you know, he's just a funny guy. He had a lot of funny moments. I'm sure you'll see memes of it online. But yeah, Charles Barkley definitely was a winner. So let's go to the losers. And we're just going to start off straight up saying the losers were the losers of the event. But more than just them losing the event, there was a lot more, not at stake, but there was a lot more on display. So Brooks, for instance, he did not play well at all. He had maybe 1 or 2 good shots, you know, in the handful of shots that he did take. And when I was watching him, I was waiting for, you know, the typical Brooks that was a little edgy and kind of competitive to come out. And it really never did. He wasn't really chirping as much as I thought he would compared to when he played Bryson in his match where he handled Bryson easily. And in my opinion, it was easy for him to chirp Bryson back then because he wasn't well liked. But since, you know, he was amongst a crowd, even though he has the most majors, he was amongst a crowd of well-liked players. I don't know, the chirpy Brooks was gone. He just wasn't himself, in my opinion, and it was strange to see. Also going down to the next loser was Bryson DeChambeau. Yeah, he was just not putting well. He was missing really close ones that he normally doesn't miss, and it was just strange to see. He really cared about this event, and I think he really wanted to do well. I just feel like, you know, the duo of them, the chemistry is off. Like, Brooks respects Bryson for what he does, but I feel like he just barely tolerates him as a person. So we'll see. I think them being buddy-buddy is a little fake if they did come off as such. But yeah, definitely Brooks and Bryson were definitely losers in all of this. Another loser to point out is LA Golf. Yeah, the putter that Bryson had in the bag today, and obviously if there's a lot of eyes on any event, Bryson being as smart as he is from a PR perspective, his PR team is going to take advantage of the spotlight and then advertise as much stuff as possible, like his Reebok jacket or his Reebok shirt or shoes. This time, the LA Golf putter was on full display. I think Bryson is a part owner or part investor in LA Golf. So yeah, he was putting with that thing. He needs to go back to his sick golf arm lock putter because that LA Golf one was not doing it. And at one point during the broadcast, he was, off to the side talking to his caddy and the camera was on him and there's, picking up the audio between the two of them. And the caddy was saying, you missed a few short ones as well. So they were talking about that putter and how it wasn't working out for them. And he had some pretty bad putts, like putts that you think a mid-handicapper would make, not necessarily a pro. And lastly, another loser for this whole thing was just golf itself and professional golf being on television. So the event was actually not all that exciting. And at the end of the day, when you think about it, golf, this was just straight up golf, right? Like there was nothing other than the personalities. It was just like watching golf on TV. However, there wasn't enough action or players, playing to fill in the void between the main group going between their shots and then driving to the next hole. So they tried to fill it with other things or talking to each other, and it just wasn't that well done. Sometimes, the announcers would try to talk to the people on the course, like the players, and they wouldn't even hear them. It was just a mess, and it didn't seem very polished in terms of a product. So not only was it golf in itself with only 4 players, it's not very action packed. You had all this dead space here that wasn't well utilized. And I think, unfortunately, how YouTube golf works is that there is no downtime. Like YouTube golf is meant to seriously just capture the attention of the short attention spans of viewers. I will say the overall broadcast production quality was not that good. There was like glitches and the audio was kind of sounding off in some places. And there's definitely pacing problems. Like after every drive, they would have a slew of commercials. And then, they would have all this downtime in between, where it definitely felt like, Al Michaels on Thursday Night Football, where he's kind of just speaking into the void because the game is so bad. I felt like the announcers were really trying to lift up and put some excitement into it by saying something not provocative, but saying something, interesting or funny to keep the crowd engaged or keep the viewers engaged. So yeah, definite loser was just golf in itself as a spectator sport. So those were kind of the winners and losers, and I wanted to give some closing thoughts here. So one thing that we'll have to take into consideration is obviously these guys aren't YouTubers. They are professional athletes, and these exhibitions, they're also asked to kind of be entertainers. And when you think about it, guys like Brooks or Scottie, they're gonna, be themselves, but that doesn't necessarily mean that their personalities will best be suited for carrying dead space or downtime in a broadcast. I think obviously Bryson is good at doing that because of YouTube, but even for him, he wasn't playing well, so it was kind of coming through that he was a little frustrated. So yeah, these guys aren't obviously YouTubers, but that is also a skill that I feel like even things like TGL, I hope they learn from today and see like, hey, if there's downtime and the down bits, fill it with something that will keep the viewer engaged, not necessarily forcing the players itself to be the ones that have to carry that. Another observation I made was when I think it was the CMO or some executive from Crypto.com gave out the prizes, they just gave them physical ledgers. And Scottie Scheffler, he had no idea what he was looking at. And they were asking, oh yeah, what are you going to do with this? And then Scottie was like, I don't even know what this is. So it didn't even seem like the stakes they were playing for were all that great, given how much money they make generally, and then you're giving them a prize in which is a little foreign to them, and they don't even know how to immediately use it. And honestly, I don't know what the stipulations were for winning crypto as a prize, so that was very interesting. But overall, I just feel like the event was just okay. I'm not someone who actively watches golf. I watch more LPGA and then also the majors for PGA, and I haven't been watching any live golf. But yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to come on here and talk about my winners and losers of this Crypto.com showdown. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Keep chasing, and we'll see you in the next one.